CWA is one of the most focused, energetic, and dedicated organizations, not just unions, but organizations in our country. And I want to thank my friend and your longtime leader, Barbara Easterling, for her friendship and her support, but more than that, for her strong voice and advocacy on behalf of CWA, working families, and a better America, because that's what it's all about. This is all a means to an end, where we have a country that fulfills our highest values and aspirations, and where we live up to our ideals. That's what being in the union movement is about. That's what being an activist is about. That's what running for office is about. And that's what I stand for, and I am grateful to stand with people like Barbara and all of you. I also want to thank your president, Larry Cohn. He's doing such an incredible job, and he is tireless. I can vouch for that. He is traveling nonstop, making the case, taking the argument as to why labor unions are good for the middle class, why labor unions are an expression of a fundamental human right, the right of free association and organization, to stand up for safe and healthy working conditions, fair wages, good benefits. And I am very grateful that he does make that with such passion, because we have to reintroduce the American people to the fundamental concept that part of the reason we became a rich and successful country was because of the American labor movement. And I thank Larry for his stalwart leadership on this. I also want to acknowledge and thank Jeff Reckenbach and Lou Gerber and Alfonso Pollard. And I want to also give a shout out to Chris Shelton and all of the New Yorkers who are here. As Barbara said, it's been an honor for me to walk that walk with you, including, a couple of picket line opportunities, and also to meet with New Yorkers who are attempting to bring about fair contracts for people who deserve them and are entitled to them. And it's an honor to work with your legislative director, the indispensable Lou Gerber, because you are represented well on Capitol Hill day in and day out. No one knows better than CWA how to make connections, and I see you've got a really good connection here at the end of this table with the governor, and I am so happy to be here with Governor Manchin from West Virginia. He is a stalwart leader, one of those governors who is really blazing a trail for a new economy for not only his state but America, and also heading the Democratic governors. And so thanks very much for your support for everything that we believe in. I've been flying around a lot lately, and I fly around on a plane staffed by union members. That's right. I can see all the flight attendants and the reps back there. As you know, that's a fight I'm in with you, and we're going to win that fight. You mark my words. I read the newspaper this morning, printed by union members, watched the news, actually was on the news, programs that are basically run by union members. I made a few phone calls over phone lines laid by union members, sent a few emails over networks that are sustained by union members. I drove in a car built by union members to a hotel staffed by union members. And now here I am with all of you, some of the hardest working, most patriotic Americans I know. And it is our job, yours and mine, to make it clear to every American how their lives are impacted and affected every day by hard-working union members across America. We've got to make visible what is too often invisible, so everybody understands why your fight is our fight and America's fight. And that's a fight that I am proud to be waging with you, and we're going to be successful. You know, I can never come before any gathering of CWA members, no matter how small or large, without once again thanking your members for what you did after 9/11. You know, in the dust and the destruction, you were there at Ground Zero, reconnecting America. And sometimes people forget that too, don't they, Larry? I mean, sometimes the very people you reconnected forget that had it not been for CWA workers, we would have never gotten back to having the stock exchange operate and demonstrate to the world that we were not in any way going to give in or give up in the face of that horrific attack. Well, for too long now, 7 years, we've had a president and a vice president who don't appreciate what you do for our country. They're not even making any bones about it, are they? You know, when they see the union bug, they want to squash it. They're not interested in, trying to work with you. They've increased funding that goes toward harassing unions while cutting funding that goes for worker health and safety. Governor Manchin knows the fight that he has been leading to try to get more support for mine safety. I mean, you would think that of anything after the disasters we've had, that should be an easy sell. But every day, it's a struggle to get the support that is needed to take care of the health and safety of workers across this country. They want to privatize any job they can, even if it means that taxpayers pay more and get less for your money. Because make no mistake about it, this privatizing, this outsourcing, this no-bid contract binge we've been on is costing America more and delivering less. And when I'm president, we're going to end it. They want to roll back the right to organize whenever and wherever possible. And what really galls me is that they've taken to questioning the patriotism of those who try to organize workers. I bet a number of you have seen and heard that. I see some heads nodding. I mean, it's not bad enough that they're trying to undermine the American labor movement, but they're trying to revise history about what it really means to be a patriot, what it means to stand up for what we believe in as Americans. But that's all part of how they view the world. They want to keep giving more to those who already have the most. That's why they keep giving tax breaks to the oil companies. I mean, honest to goodness, does ExxonMobil, which made $40 billion in profit last year, need your tax dollars? I don't think so. And when I'm president, we're going to take those subsidies back and we're going to put them to work on behalf of the American people. Now, it would be one thing, and it might be a little bit embarrassing for people like me and Larry and Lou and Barbara and Alfonso and others. I mean, if this policy of theirs had worked, that would have been a surprise and maybe a little disconcerting. But look at the results of what we've had for the last 7 years. The economy has lost jobs for 3 months in a row. Gas prices are at record highs. The housing boom has gone bust. Our credit markets are in turmoil. The dollar is falling. We have 2 wars. We are facing the prospect of a deep and painful recession. Just like we needed the labor movement to meet the challenges of the 20th century, America needs organized labor in the 21st century. Because we have to get back to a partnership in America again, not just in rhetoric, but in reality. Because when the economy is faltering, that's when we need unions standing strong, because your negotiations help to raise the standard of living for everybody else. When other countries exploit their workers to gain an upper hand in trade and competition, that's when we need unions standing for workers' rights here and around the world. When health insurance is out of reach for 47 million Americans and costs too much and covers too little for tens of millions more, that's when we need unions standing up for universal health care. We need unions. We need unions not just in the good times. That's easy. We need unions in the hard times too, especially in the hard times. Because you know what it's like to fight for the underdog. You know what it's like to have to stand up and keep going against some terrific odds. You know what it's like to be told to go away, to quit. I know what that's like too. I mean, we have something else in common. And every day you keep going, and so do I, because we're fighting for what's right. We're fighting for the very future of America. And that is not a cause that is for the faint-hearted. That is not a cause for those who get discouraged by a little criticism. That is a cause that all of us must be part of, and that is the cause that I join you in achieving. We're going to take back our country, and we're going to put it back on the right track, and then we're going to have the kind of future that America deserves again. Because just think about it. For 7 years, the drug companies and the oil companies and the insurance companies and Wall Street have had their president. It's time now the American people had a president again. And what we're going to do is have a president who gets up every day in the White House and thinks about what needs to be done to improve the incomes and the jobs and the health care and the education of the American people. A president who rolls up her sleeves every single day and goes to work for you, who remembers that the American people are the ones you work for, not the special interests, not the cronies. And from my perspective, we need a commander-in-chief ready on day one to end this war in Iraq in a responsible and expeditious way and bring our sons and daughters home as quickly and safely as possible. And we need a president who, again, knows how to manage the economy. You know, we've got to start creating jobs again in America, and they've got to be good jobs that can sustain a middle-class standard of living. If there's one word that sums up my campaign and what it's all about, it's solutions. I'm offering real solutions, not just speeches, to create a better future for everyone. When I say solutions, I mean ending George Bush's assault on unions. And finally, having a Department of Labor that's actually pro-labor. Wouldn't that be nice for a change? When I say solutions, I mean ending this administration's practice of harassing and bureaucratizing labor organizations. I will actually appoint people to the Department of Labor and to the NLRB and throughout the government who are pro-worker and pro-union. And I will never be afraid to make the case as your president as to why we need unions in America. When I say solutions, I mean protecting the right to organize by making the Employee Free Choice Act the law of the land. I am proud to be an original co-sponsor of that bill. I am proud to have fought for it in the Senate, and I will sign it into law as president, and you're all invited to the signing ceremony. I I will call on the Congress to pass the Employee Free Choice Act within the first 100 days of my administration. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our case to the American people. We're going to have events across the country. We are going to present to the American people what I started out by saying, that what union workers do for everyone is important. It's not the unions over here and everybody else over there. And people have got to start understanding that. And employees who have been sold a bill of goods for years about why unions are bad for them should understand that in the absence of organization, they will continue to see their incomes drop, they will continue to see their benefits disappear, and we will continue to see the middle class of America erode. That is not a risk I'm willing to take, and neither should you. You know, when I say solutions, I mean connecting all of America to the global economy through a national broadband policy. I've been talking about this for a decade. We often say that new technology is bringing the world closer together, but that's only true if you're wired into it. If not, the opportunities of the 21st century are far beyond your reach. In 2000, we were 4th in the world in broadband access. Today, America, the country that created the Internet, is 24th. Well, that sounds to me like a national challenge. And one thing I know about America is we can rise to meet any challenge we take on. So I have proposed a national broadband strategy called Connect America to finally give broadband access the urgent attention it deserves. And this strategy is based on the principles laid out in your Speed Matters campaign. And it builds on the Broadband Data Improvement Act, which I'm glad has passed the House and I'm pushing for in the Senate. We will put high-speed Internet access within reach of every single American so that everybody can have a chance to compete in the global economy. When I say solutions, I mean a trade policy that actually works for working families. I believe we need a timeout on new trade deals until we have that new trade policy that is truly pro-worker and pro-American. And that means as I have been saying for some time, no trade deal with Colombia while violence against trade unionists continues. I know President Cohen was in Colombia in February to meet with workers there, and I want to applaud Larry's commitment to worker rights there and around the world. And I was very disappointed that President Bush decided yesterday to try to push the Colombian deal through Congress. Well, I have news for President Bush. As I have said for months, I oppose the deal. I have spoken out against the deal. I will vote against the deal, and I will do everything I can to urge the Congress to reject the Colombian free trade deal. And I'm the only candidate in this race who has a specific plan about how to fix NAFTA, because I know we need the strongest possible labor and environmental standards in the core text of the agreement. We need enforcement mechanisms that actually work. We need to remove the right of any company to sue over our labor, environmental, and health and safety regulations. That is not going to be in any trade deal that I ever look at. And when I say I'll fix NAFTA, I mean it. You know, and those of you who have worked with me, and some of you from New York have, and some of you with some of our Hill priorities have, know that when I tell you I will stick with you, I will stick with you. No ifs, ands, or buts. We will have a new trade deal and a renegotiated NAFTA when I am president. And when I say solutions, I mean new guarantees for workers on the job, like 7 paid days of sick leave a year, universal paid leave for new parents, and an expansion of the Family and Medical Leave Act. And I am proud to stand with our nation's flight attendants by leading the fight to include them in the Family and Medical Leave Act. And when I say solutions, I mean reining in the corporate special interest and using that money to rebuild the middle class. I will end $55 billion in tax breaks for drug companies, oil companies, insurance companies, and Wall Street, and give that money back to hard-working middle-class families instead. You will get more help with student loans, with health care for all, with millions of new jobs that cannot be sent overseas, because we're going to create those jobs right here, and I will cut middle-class taxes by at least $100 billion a year. And I will let the taxes increase on people making more than $250,000 a year. They've had their run. It's time we shifted our priorities in the tax code. We're going to have lifetime retirement security plans. We're going to strengthen defined pension benefit plans. We're going to end the use of bankruptcy as a way for companies to shed their pension obligations. And under my new American retirement accounts, we're going to have generous matching tax cuts from the government to help people save. And I will always protect the greatest defined benefit plan in history, Social Security. That is a solemn pledge. I was proud to stand with CWA fighting President Bush's attempts to privatize Social Security. When I'm president, you won't have to worry about that at all. I was somewhat surprised to hear Senator McCain say a few days ago that he would put privatizing Social Security back on the table. Well, there's not going to be any chance of that happening when I'm president, and you can count on that. We're going to stand up for strengthen Social Security so that it's there for your children and my child, so that we can count on Social Security far into the future. And finally, when I say solutions, I mean providing health care to every American. No ifs, ands, or buts. This is a big difference in this campaign. I have a plan for universal health care. John Edwards had a plan for universal health care. Senator Obama does not. I think it's a core Democratic value that the Democratic Party nominates someone who will go toe-to-toe with John McCain about universal health care. What do we stand for if we don't stand for universal health care? And we're going to end insurance company discrimination. You know, it's unconstitutional in this country to discriminate on race or gender or ethnic origin or religion, thank goodness. But we let insurance companies discriminate against you if you're sick. We're going to end that. The insurance companies are going to be reined in. They're going to have to insure everybody. They're going to have to make money the old-fashioned way by taking care of people, not by eliminating them from care and charging them more than they can afford to pay for a fundamental right like health care. So, you guys get me all worked up. Because we've got to win in November. That's the goal. We cannot afford 4 more years of the same. And so we've got to have a nominee that will take on Senator McCain. He's a friend of mine, and I respect his service to our country. But he's admitted he doesn't understand the economy, and he's proving it every day in his campaign. He looks at the home mortgage crisis, and who does he blame? Not Wall Street, which helped create this mess in the first place, but homeowners. I've been saying for more than a year, We've got to help people stay in their homes, not foreclose on their homes if we're going to work our way out of this economic crisis. He's willing to extend President Bush's failed policies on the economy. You know, sometimes when the phone rings at 3 a.m. in the White House, it's an economic crisis. And based upon what we've heard so far, Senator McCain will just let that phone ring and ring and ring. And I think we've had enough of a president who didn't know enough about economics and didn't do enough for the American middle class. We need a president who will work as hard for you as you work, not just talking about our problems, but solving our problems. And that's what I'm offering in this campaign. I know there'll be hurdles and setbacks along the way. Solving our problems is not going to be easy. We have to end the war in Iraq and win the war in Afghanistan. And we've got to face up to the economic recession that is looming. So we're going to have a lot of issues to deal with. I'm not sure we even know all the damage we're going to inherit. And so after the world breathes a sigh of relief as George Bush and Dick Cheney pull away from the back of the White House on January 20th, 2009, then we've got to roll up our sleeves and get to work. But I am confident and optimistic. See, I believe in America. I believe we can meet any challenge that confronts us. I believe we can solve any problem if we start acting like Americans again. Under this president, we've seemed to have forgotten how to do that. We can't have universal health care, they say, without wrecking the health care system. Actually, if we don't, we will wreck the system because more and more people will be left out. We can't have a clean energy future because that'll wreck the economy. Well, actually, if we don't take on the Saudis and the oil-producing countries and the oil companies, we will wreck our economy. We can't have a pro-union government because, you know, that'll not be good for competition. Well, actually, if we don't support unions, we won't recognize our country. And we will not believe how badly we will fall from where we were because we haven't kept faith with who we are. So we will keep fighting. People ask me all the time, why are you still fighting? Well, I'm fighting because America's worth fighting for. You know that, and together we are going to take back our country. Thank you all, and God bless you, and God bless America.